Hi everyone, part 18, but first let me show you. I have cleaned up my needlebook. Isn't that amazing? I've put them all in order, the shorter ones from size I up, and they're all sharps. Then I've put my shishikos, then I've got my bigger embroidery ones. And then I realised at the back I might just put any that are pre-threaded that I haven't used up the thread on. So that was a very exciting day yesterday. And then I was so sick of my pins being everywhere. Back in the day, if anyone was watching back in the day, because I think my channel's been going for over 2 years now, I think. I don't know. Actually, I should check the date. I found this at an op shop for 30 cents and I used it as a pin cushion back then. So I've redone the pin cushion, and today I made my first Dorset button. It's wibbly wobbly, it's not brilliant, but that's what I did today. That was the first go. For those who've been playing the game, I found it. I found this iron-on stuff, which is really good to work with this month's bird. But first, also, got my iron out, because of course you iron it. First, I'm going to do a bit of a clean up, because this is what happens. You get all these scraps on your mat. So I'm just picking them all up. Because when you start to clean up, that's what happens. Get on a roll. Right, so that's my little clean up on aisle 5. Or is it aisle 6? Don't know, can't remember. Anyway, the bird. So I've been having a bit of fun playing around with the iron-on stuff. So I just had a bit of this old sheet, and I was just cutting up bits of that nice material, the tea towel. I really liked it. So this was the tea towel. So that's the seam. And they do look a little bit like birds' faces, don't they? But also the body. So this was my little kind of, I guess, a bit of a practice run to see if that worked, just sticking them together. And as Rachel says, this means there'll be no frayed edges. So I'm not using these birds, I was just sort of practicing to see how they went, because I've got this idea. I think it's good because they're a little bit smaller. I was trying to research maybe the person who might have done this design, and I could not find it anywhere. I was looking on Pinterest, I was looking on just image search, and I couldn't find anything. And then I found this tea towel, which also has some birds, but slightly different style. And this was 70s. This is a 70s tea towel. So this was another style where it's the straight background with a wing made out of different material, and just embellishments really from different bits of material. So a bit collagey like what I'm doing with this. So if I find my carbon paper for tracing, this is pretty good. I can trace the shape onto here. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is to trace one of the birds onto here. Now I think I'm happy with the bird facing this way off the page. Or maybe this one can go on this side. So if I want it facing off the page, I have to trace it this way. If I want to use, maybe I'll use this like that. Just get a bit of the pattern so there's room for some embroidery. what I'm going to have to do is do it this way. Right, so I've got to trace from the back. So I can see the outline here. I've traced from the back to here. So I need a bit of carbon paper. Got some. Little beak, it's a little head. Little feet. Should be enough. No, it hasn't worked. Okay. I was going to say it should be enough, but I probably haven't pressed hard enough because this is probably too soft. In this case, it's just the outline shape I need it. So I thought that was going to work and it didn't. Right. This is going to be the back, so now I'm making it up. It's probably a bit rounder. All right, the carbon method has worked for me before, and usually I use it. In this case, obviously, probably needed a heavier background. Now, honestly, the feet probably won't matter too much because they'll just be like one, you know, like a little tiny straight stitch or back stitch for the feet. Now, will I be able to see it through there? I think so. Okay. That's one bird. Honestly, it's a bit wibbly wobbly job. Oh well. And then there's this one that's upside down. Now he's a bit wibble wobble as well, and his legs are off the page. See if I can improvise him a little bit. Now if this one is going to be facing to the right, something like this. Maybe like that. Just got to make sure it looks like he's hanging. The branch could be anywhere. So if I've done this the opposite, so flipped it like that, then I should do the same with this. I think I'll do it down here. Let me just draw him on this side. So I do think he probably would have a bit of a tail. I think if his feet are behind him on the little wire, or the, you know, it looks like it's a bit of wire, not branch. This looks like this could be a bit of tail. So it's a bit of a rounded shape, round to the head with a little beak. just thinking if he's on a wire, what would his tail be doing? But if his head's facing that way, his tail would possibly come over here. Not sure. His tail could be here if he's trying to get his balance. I mean, if it's like this tail, it might just be here. And then what I will do is put this on here, turn my little iron on, get it warm, put a little bit of this stuff. This stuff is Bondaweb, and I think I got it off eBay, but you can get it in Spotlight, places like that. This bit here in the middle is like a heat-sensitive membrane. Oh, there was a bit there, so you can just see it's very fine, heat-sensitive, and when you iron it between these two, it sticks them together. So I don't really want to use more than I need to use, so I'm going to cut enough. Now, I haven't done a lot of this, so I'm learning. I found with these that I first ironed the Bondaweb onto this backing first, and then ironed pieces. So these are all made up of lots of little pieces. But this time I'm giving it a go like this, like that. Maybe I can see it better this way. Then what I plan to do is cut them out. So I'm really hoping I can see them through this well enough to cut them out. So it's a bit of an experiment. If this doesn't work, I'm just going to use those other ones. This isn't looking too super hot. Oh yeah, you can see them pretty well through there. So it's a good little trick, so you don't have those fluffy, furry edges. So now I'm just cutting around the outline of the shape that I wanted. And I've made the tail up, and hopefully it doesn't look silly. Right, so I've got one bird shape, and now I can embroider on them. So I was thinking a little bit about this one and how you could just put a base colour down this way and then cut out bits and pieces and stick them on. As with anything, when you're learning new things, it's always a little bit of an experiment. See what works for you. I do find this just a tad fiddly, but it's not terrible. So he's going to be upside down. He's going to be up there like that. Alright, so this already looks a little bit like a branch, so maybe I'll incorporate that there. Now, I probably could have used the Bondaweb and just bonded that down to the backing. So, live and learn. I think probably that's what I should have done. I don't mind though, because it's about embroidery. So, if this branch came across and up here. So this guy could be just sitting right here. because I think I might make them quite bright. Okay. A little bit of invisible stitch, I think. Just very tiny little stitches. As tiny as I can make them. Probably should have used thinner thread perhaps. But honestly, I don't mind. It looks like a seam and I don't mind that. I like it. So it's okay. We do sometimes this is just a work in progress, our work, and also we are improvising in the moment, really. That's enjoyable. Right, so I'm going to get on with this and I'll come back when I've got them down. All right, I'm back and just an update. Okay, so I've done a little beak on this in the yellow. Got them all sewn down with a very tiny stitch every so often. Like Rachel's invisible stitch, but it's not very invisible on mine. I've got a little bit of pink through the tail feathers and a little bit more yellow. On this one, I've done a chain stitch all around the outside to help bring it out a bit. I've done a little beak, done two, in this is a dark grey, like charcoal. I've done two, well, I did one French knot with 5 wraps, and then I just thought it was not as visible, so I've put a little bit of yellow with 1 wrap on a French knot in the middle. And this one, I've done a bit of the pink around the wing and a bit more down here. So I'm up to doing a chain stitch around this one. It's very interesting when you're learning something new that what I thought, you know, you do it and you learn it and you think you know it. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that I think the first time I did the chain stitch, the lazy daisy in a row, I had forgotten, because this is what Anne did on the tag roulette for this month. She was coming back down on the inside of the chain and I'd been securing it and making another chain rather than doing that. So it's just fascinating how we learn. This is what I did with the bullion knots the first time. I learnt it and then I went to do it on my own and had forgotten. Shouldn't admit that really, probably, but this is what I sometimes say, that it's, you know, you've got to do it a few times to get it when you're learning something. It's just like me trying to learn the French language. Similar. Over and over again and still can't get the masculine and the feminine. Can't remember them. Anyway. I'm saying I quite admire people who can remember a whole heap of embroidery stitches and always just pull them out when they need them. Isn't that amazing? All right. So this is what I'm doing around the whole outside of the bird, and then using this grey to embellish. Pulling the thread through that French knot because it's a little bit difficult to do through all those layers. The trusty pliers, and I'm just going to keep it similar as if they're similar birds, but I'm not quite sure what birds they actually are. Okay, so I have added a bit of blue and on the tummies, and then I added a little bit of yellow, extra yellow on this one to help bring it out a little bit, which is funny because this has got much more patterning in the background and this is a lot less dense, and I feel that you can see this patterning a bit better on that than you can here. Go figure, I don't know. Anyway, I think that's all I'm doing for now. Not sure if I'll do any more or not. If I do, I'll come back and do another video. But for now, that's the end of this episode, or this part, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.